KMR Rotary. Welcome back to the channel. Normally I say we're brapping, but this motor is not brapping. So I've got a Series 1 Mazda RX8 6-port motor, late generation rotary, and it came in, was assumed to be a good motor, and this is what I often say, you really don't know until you open them up. Obviously, as you can already tell, this motor has had some type of serious failure. Water basically entered the combustion chamber, saturated the chamber. At that point, the cast iron side plates, the cast iron rotor, even the chrome aluminum surface, which the chrome side is susceptible to rust, starts to rust. It doesn't matter that it's coolant basically in the motor when you have a water seal failure. When you break that seal, basically the rotary equivalent to losing a head gasket, the chamber fills up with water most of the time, and that leads to very quick big problems. At this point, this motor is really not salvageable. You can see that the rotor itself is completely rusted. All the seals are closed in. And the chamber itself, the rotor housing most likely has shrank. That's probably part of either the overheating sequence, what led to the water seal failure, or if it was just simply a water seal failure, there's usually some portion of the rotor housing that's either damaged via electrolysis or shrinkage. When it comes to factory tolerances, the rotor housing can't be more than 0.003 out of square. So you need to check it for true whenever you're building a motor with used rotor housings. I would assume right away with the type of temperature, obviously the seal is burned, missing in some areas. There's this little weird buildup of carbon right here that I didn't put there. That just kind of is there from where the seal was missing. And you have all of this rust debris down in the motor. Basically, close to a total loss. You get some front end components, the oil pan. We haven't opened up the front chamber yet. There may be a good chamber there, but when we're trying to build rotary engines, whether it be for ourselves, for customers, for race cars, we're trying to start with good matching rotors, good block components. You don't want to build a motor from something that's got serious damage. And you can see from the oil side, it looked pretty good. It didn't look exceptionally burned. It didn't smell exceptionally bad. But when you get to the chamber side, you've got a complete rust problem. And, sometimes you'll get some surface rust that can be removed via lapping or polishing out. But in some cases, you actually get serious corrosion. And you can kind of see right here that it's actually ate into the plate. So probably a loss. I wouldn't even recommend trying to lap out an RX8 plate that has any type of serious corrosion. Minor corrosion, or if it's a race part, I could see it. But when you have something like this, a lot of the times you end up with paperweights. So it's an unfortunate situation. Renesas motors, RX8 motors, Mazda went back to the coolant seals in the rotor housings. And although that had worked out good in the RX-7s in the past, as I've talked about, the side port RX-8 motor has a tendency to stagnate heat. It runs a little hot. Oil temperatures are a little hot. The whole motor runs a little hot compared to previous generation rotaries. The oil coolers are tucked into the corners of the car so they don't see any fan air. You basically have to be moving to cool the oil down. And it just seems like they're prone to water seal failure, whether it be on the spark plug side, potentially hard driving, loss of water, things like that can lead to failures over here, electrolysis. And then you've got the exhaust side over here, which a lot of the times if the motor loses water, has a small leak, has a hard time cooling, the water's coming around the exhaust side second, and you'll end up with shrinkage here at the exhaust port. This one broke the seal on the spark plug side, so it makes me wonder a little more if it was abuse related, but you don't know. You really can't tell. We can only guess at this point. And the owner of this was not the driver of this. So this is all speculation and unfortunately, I'm going to say we need to find another block. So I just thought it was a good opportunity to talk just a little bit about what sometimes worst case scenarios look like in a rotary engine, and rust is one of them. And this can happen pretty quick, so you don't want to let rotary engines sit, especially if you think they've lost a water seal. You don't want to let them sit out in the elements where water could maybe come in through ports or exhaust area. It's always good to keep rotary engines sealed up, and if something's happened, get them apart as soon as possible, salvage what's left, don't let stuff sit in there. Obviously, they got this motor sealed up, but I think the damage was probably already done. It probably sat in a car for too long after it stopped running for some unknown reason, and that unknown reason was probably water seeping into the combustion chamber, leading to hard to start or not starting at all, and loss of coolant, or just loss of coolant. Something to that degree. Makes me sad. All right, so I think that's a wrap. I'm tired of looking at this thing. I'm going to knock it apart and see what the front chamber looks like. But comment below. Let me know if you have questions. Ideally, if you're trying to rebuild a Renesis or any rotary engine, you have better luck than this motor did. Bearing doesn't look too bad. Rest of it, not so good. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.